Happy 4th of July. I know I'm a day late, dollar short, but happy 4th of July. I'm so glad that you decided to watch this, and I hope I can just talk about some great American moments today as we celebrate this great nation's history. Before that, real quickly, just give this, a like, maybe comment on it, tell me your favorite 4th of July holiday tradition that you do, and maybe just, tell us what you did. Did you have fun? I hope so, because it's one of the things that makes this nation great is we are free to do stuff that we can have fun with. So we're just going to get right on into it today. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for this show. With the 4th of July being yesterday, we shot off a bunch of fireworks. It was great. I still have all 10 of my fingers. And make sure to check on your friends. Some of them might not have escaped the weekend. So just make sure that they can still, pick up a cup of water or I don't know, play the piano if they could before. But no, I had a great time with friends and family. I hope each and every one of you did as well. That is one of the great things about it being a 3-day weekend is you might got to see someone they haven't been able to see in a while, which is always a great time, always a great way to celebrate. But just getting into the 4th of July, I have to say, I love the fact that we shoot off fireworks every year. I do. I love blowing stuff up from a very young age. If you went back and talked to my mother, she would tell you that I have an affinity for blowing stuff up, hopefully without doing too much damage. But I love it. I love being close to explosions, and I love them bursting across the sky. I find it extremely American. I find it extremely American to shoot off these grand explosions. And I get that fireworks came from China like what, a few thousand years ago? I get all that. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we do it better. Let's just do it that. Let's just say that. We do it better. Obviously, this show is not a serious show. It's good to have these every once in a while where we just talk about some good things. Honestly, though, shooting fireworks across the sky kind of reminds me, it goes back to what Francis Scott Key wrote down as he watched a bombing of an American fort during the War of 1812, where he said bombs bursting in midair gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. And I know it's not the same thing. I know, I get it. Do not think I'm making a false equivalency here. But it does harken back to that. It actually came, surprisingly enough, shooting off fireworks for patriotic events actually comes from the English. All the way back into the 1400s, they started using fireworks for great, royal weddings and decrees and stuff like that. So, I mean, it has been used since before America was a nation, but America just does it better. And we do. But John Adams actually kind of got the ball rolling in America when he said that this day, Independence Day, ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shoes, games, sports, guns, bells, bonfires, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other from this time forward forward forevermore. Which, he gets it. John Adams, writing to his wife, gets it there. So I just want to take a few minutes, not many, by any means, to talk about some of my favorite moments in American history, and I decided to limit it to the 20th century, just because I wanted to. It's my show. Come at me. I could take it all the way back to the War for Independence, and maybe I should, maybe I will, but this time, not so much. Starting actually kind of close to our time and moving back, I remember distinctly September 11th, 2001. I was about to turn 5. It's right before I turned 5. And I distinctly remember very vaguely, I know that's an oxymoron, watching some sort of news reports. They probably were reruns from later in the day. But I remember some of the stuff just at the edges of my memory. Um, but since then, I've read, I've looked at pictures, I've seen some of the news stories from that day, gone back and rewatched it, and then they had these memorials every year, which are fantastic. And one of my favorite, honestly, is the George Washington Bush Bullhorn speech. Uh, Something about just the simplicity of it, something about American being surrounded by American heroes. Um, it just, I can't speak from firsthand experience, but from what I understood, it kind of gave hope to a nation in mourning. But some of the stuff, the patriotic shouts of USA being chanted over and over and over, or when he says, "I hear you," and soon the people who knock these towers down will as well. Regardless of how you feel after events, after that point, what happened in the following few years, that is a great line. Hopefully one day I can come up with a line on the spot that's just as good as that, uh, because you can't beat it. Um, but yeah, going back even farther in time, just a moment of just awesomeness is when Ronald Reagan uh, was speaking in West Berlin when a balloon popped extremely loud. It sounded like a gunshot. In the recording, you go back and listen to it, it sounds like a gunshot. And without missing a beat, he just looks up, missed me, and keeps going. Just, just a moment of full. This is the man who's been shot, right? So there's been at least one assassination attempt on him at this time. It's been a few years previously, but this is a man who has been shot, and someone, a balloon pops off, and he just goes, "Missed me," and the crowd goes wild. You got to look it up. It's an amazing moment. It's just a fun moment in American history that it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you are. It doesn't matter what your personal thoughts and feelings on Ronald Reagan is. You hope to be that cool one day. You hope that if something like that were to happen to you, you could respond like that and be that suave and just a great moment of an American leader just being awesome on the world stage. I wish we could have some of that right now. And that's all I'll say about that. Going even farther back, I've always loved science. The moon landings to me are just these amazing things. And, I've seen the footage. I've read about it. I've seen people talk about it all my life. But I have to say, the fact that they put a man on the moon just roughly 230,000 miles away, that alone is mind-boggling. To look up at that moon and say, humans have gotten there. We have gotten there and walked on it and planted our flag there, even though France, I think, probably played the long game because the American flag's probably bleached by now. It's just white. So France might have won that one in the long game. I guess surrender does give you an advantage sometimes. But I remember distinctly the first time I was watching Mad Men. If you hadn't watched it, it's on Amazon Prime. It's a good show. But they moved through the sixth season. Towards the end of it, in '69, they have this whole build-up through the season. And it's in the background, but you can feel the anticipation through a few episodes as they build up. And then they have the episode where it lines up chronologically, and you really feel the spectacle and the awe and the wonder of getting these images from the moon, of men walking on the moon, of Armstrong saying the famous words, "One small step for man, one giant step for mankind." Just the giddiness that you must have felt being and the absolute patriotism, the happiness to be an American in that moment. It must have been it must have been through the roof. It was the culmination of John F. Kennedy saying, "We will put a man on the moon by the end of this decade." And then we did it. Just amazing moment of American greatness, amazing moment of American ingenuity and toughness and work ethic to put us up there. It's something that we should strive for again. A lot of people are, say we should just focus here, and I say yes, we can focus here, but also why shouldn't we push our horizons? Why shouldn't we see what we can do? This great American spirit that moved us from just the East Coast all the way across this continent was it was an American spirit that moves us. And yes, I get that all countries have had their, people who have made these treks and made these journeys, but I'm an American, and you know what? I say that if we did it better, we do it better. We made it to the moon. No other country on Earth right now can say that. USSR was defeated, so USA. And lastly, and certainly not least, is going back to just the entirety of World War II. I mean, the bombing at Pearl Harbor, bouncing back from that, pushing the Third Reich back across Africa, back up Italy, through the D-Day landings, just American GIs doing what the rest of the Allies couldn't by themselves. And I get it, they were beat down at this point, but Americans coming in and really saving the day, because any way you look at it, Americans saved the day when it came to World War II on both sides of the world. No one could stand up to the might of the Germans or the Japanese alone, and then America comes and does it on both sides of the earth. Like, if that doesn't make you proud to be American, then I don't know what to say. And I get it's our history, but it's also our history. Like, it is something for us to strive towards again. And yes, we could beat anyone on Earth. Our armed forces could now, but to become a superpower in that way is awe-inspiring and should push us to want to continue to be better in a lot of ways. But you go back, you see anything involving General Patton, my favorite general from the war. You go back and read his exploits. Other than slapping a couple of soldiers, I mean, he's just one craziness after another that worked. That's the crazy thing about it. They worked. He was so feared by the Germans that because whatever he did just seemed to miraculously come through. In the Battle of the Bulge, he was able to get his Third Army up there to relieve those guys. It's just a fantastic story of American ingenuity. I'm gonna hammer that, American ingenuity. But you also have, all of the D-Day landings, those men charging into almost certain death. If you've seen the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, I mean, just the absolute horror that these men had to rush into. And they prevailed. They won. Again, something for us to strive to. And it's not just in Europe. It was in the Pacific. We were fighting a superior navy. The Japanese had a much superior navy. Now, they didn't use it well. They put a lot of their eggs in one basket when it came to their super battleships. They didn't take out any of our aircraft carriers at Pearl Harbor, which really was their undoing. But still, we were facing down a superior navy, and we won because we were able to adapt to the technology that we had. We were able to adapt and use our fighters and our bombers to basically outflank them. We were able to just use our American ingenuity and keep coming up with these things. And you had the Doolittle raid. Before the Doolittle raid, the idea that an enemy just attacking you and then could be attacked in their home, that fast was not going to happen. I mean, you had the battle for Midway where they were able to break the Japanese code, figure out that they were about to attack Midway, and then was able to surprise. The history of it's amazing when you look at how, when America applies itself, this was before it was a world superpower. Just imagine if we did it again. Just imagine if we strived as a country again. Yes, America had problems even back then, especially back then, but guess what? We strove for something greater and we accomplished it. Uh, and you see that towards the end of the war with the island hopping. I mean, taking great um, taking great casualties, but we were able to do it. We were able to beat an entrenched fighting force that believed it was their sacred right to hold these islands, especially when you got to Iwo Jima, Chichijima, all of these places where they felt it was the Japanese homeland that had never been conquered, and we did it. And we did it. So that's really all I have. I mean, there's many, many more great moments throughout the 20th century, but just these moments right here, going from the personal moments to all the way back to the big World War II stories. It's just America being great. When people ask when was America great, these are a few examples, right? There's many more. I mean, you have to be willfully ignorant and or ascribe more value to America's sins, which we certainly have. But you know what? When it comes down to it, we truly are the greatest nation that has ever. We are the most powerful nation on the history of Earth. And we should be proud of that fact. We should be proud of what those before us did, how they were blessed, and we should strive. We should strive to not live that legacy down. We should strive to one-up them. So, y'all have a great rest of your week. I know this one was short, but you know what? It's the 4th of July yesterday. So, y'all have a great rest of your day. Great rest of your week. I'll see y'all next week. I have some great things brewing. You know, give this channel a subscribe. Hit the little bell. I promise an angel somewhere will get its wings, and you will get my content as it's carried to you from that grateful angel. Have a great day. Go do something that would, make a leftist try and cancel you because you're probably doing something right. See ya.